In this video, we're going to be making a low poly fence segment in Blender. So this is perfect if you want to make a fence for your game. And if you're a beginner, this is perfect for you. If you want to follow along, make sure to click the link in the description to get our free startup project. That has all the materials and textures and everything that's going to make your life a lot easier following along with this video. Okay, so double click on that blend project. You'll be ready to go and you can start where I am. So we're going to turn this default cube into a pole. And so let's hit tab to go into edit mode. I'll hit S for scale and then shift Z to scale it on X and Y, but not in the Z axis. All right. So we're just making it tall and skinny. That's a quick way to do that. All right. So now we have kind of that basic thing going on, and let's make this just a little bit wonky, because I think it's always fun to have a little bit of wonkiness here. So I'm going to add a couple of loop cuts here just by hitting Control R. You can remember that by just adding a ring, like Control R for ring. And I'll roll up on the scroll wheel, and I think maybe just 2 divisions there. I'll click and then right click to not move them around. So now we have this kind of in 3 sections. Great. And we're just going to leave it like that for now. And I'll show you why in a little bit. But the one thing I will do is do a little bit of a bevel on this. So I think let's grab just these edges. I'll hit 2 and hit Alt. And actually, I don't need to hit Alt. Yeah, hit Alt and then Shift, Alt, Shift, and grab all of these edges like this. And let's bevel that along with, I'll hit 3. Oh boy, well, I went crazy now. let's hit 3, and actually let's just do this. Let's hit A for all, and then I'm going to hit 2 and Alt and Shift and click on each of these rings. That's going to select all of the edges except for those rings, and then hit Control B. And now we can bevel that. I'll just bevel this out just a little bit like this. So we have kind of this beveled wood piece like that with that wood beam. That looks great. Okay. So let's start with that. And I think what we'll do is let's take this and hit Shift D and then Y. And let's just bring this out there. And then let's do another one, Shift D, Y, and bring this out here. And so we're going to have just kind of 3 poles on this fence for now. And yeah, I think that's going to go pretty well. Let's actually make this whole thing a little bit shorter. And so let's select all of these, tab, and let's grab, let's go to X-ray mode here, and we'll grab all of these faces and GZ. And let's see, all of these, let's go to 1. There we go. Grab all of those vertices, G, Z, bring those up like this, G, Z. There we go. The reason I'm doing this instead of just scaling these is because I don't want to scale that that bevel. So now we still have these like shorter, but the bevels are still there. Okay, great. Let's make some boards to go on these. Shift A, Mesh, Cube, and let's do sort of the opposite of what we just did. Let's hit Tab, and then S for scale, and then Shift Y to scale this on everything but Y. Okay, there we go. Let's make this sort of board shaped. And then now let's scale this on just X, SX, and make this a thin board. Okay, about half the size of those beams. Looks good. Hit Tab, and then let's kind of offset this GX, and then kind of bring this out to be just on the edge there. Good. G, Z, and we'll have this kind of spanning these. There we go. That's good. That's good. Tab, and then S, Y to scale this up a little bit. Here we go. Great. Okay, so that's kind of our main board here, and kind of depending on what we want to do, if we want to bevel this anymore. But I think what I'll do is just leave that sharp for now, and let's just duplicate this, Shift D, and then Z to bring this down like this. So now we have kind of a perfect fence. All right. And that's fine, except for perfect it tends to be boring. And so we don't want this to be perfect. We want it to be just a little wonky. So to make this a little wonky, we're going to do a couple things here. One is, I think I'm actually going to add some loop cuts here too. So Control R, and then I'll add a loop cut to each side here. There we go. And I could have done this before I duplicated this, but that's all right. We'll just add another one real quick. It's pretty easy to do. These are going to be different anyway. So now we have this kind of in 3 sections and then these in 3 sections. And that's going to give us just enough resolution here to be able to kind of mess with this a little bit and make it look nice. All right. The first thing I want to do is actually go into these boards and let's just bevel a couple of these edges. I'll hit 2. I'll grab this and just bevel it. And just kind of bevel some of these edges down a little bit. And I'm picking the different edges and just beveling them different on purpose. And I want this to be, yeah, pretty imperfect. There we go. Let's do the same thing up here. And we're just going to kind of add a bevel here, add a bevel there, just to make this really interesting. All right. Just a little more interesting than it would have been. Good. Okay. So now we have, it's already looking better. But what we're going to do is some fanciness. I'm going to pick all of these and just join them together. Control J to join. So now this is one object. If I hit Tab, I can go into the components of any of these meshes. And I'll hit 1 on the keyboard. And I'll go up here to my proportional editing. Click on this, and now I can grab one of these and check this out. If I hit G, this circle appears and I can kind of squish and stretch this with proportional editing. So this is a great tool to make things a little bit more interesting. Just right click on that and let's think of what we want here. I think I'll grab the middle of this and hit G and then roll down on my scroll wheel to where we are affecting less of this. And I'll also constrain this to Z. So I'm just moving this kind of up and down. Same thing here, G, Z, and just kind of making it a little different up and down here, G, Z. See, and it doesn't take much. It's just a little bit wonky and it looks really cool. All right. Let's also do this with these pillars here, G, and then I'm going to make this a lot smaller and just kind of move this around. Let's grab this, G, move it around a little bit, and we're just tweaking it. Just tweaking this a touch. Okay. Good. And yeah, like I said, I mean, it just doesn't take that much, but that looks way, way more interesting. And it's just moved just slightly. It's just not perfect. It's just like me. You know what I'm saying? Okay, so now we have our fence. This is looking really great. Let's colorize this a little bit. Again, like I said, if you want to, you could put bevels on these edges. It's up to you. I think I'll keep it straight. But yeah, let's add some shading to this. Let's go up to our UV editing workspace. And this is, since we started with our default cube, this already has our material on here, which is called main material. Now, this is only because we started with the startup file, and that's why this looks like a rainbow, is because what it's doing is it's taking this texture that we have loaded in here and it's applying it to the cube how it sees fit. But what we're going to do is we're going to adjust this so that it kind of colorizes this a certain way. And this is a really cool hack, okay? What I'm going to start with is just look at this from the X, down the X axis like this. So I'm just looking at it from the side. And I'll hit Tab so I can go into edit mode and hit A for all. That's going to select all of these faces. And look how they're laid out on this texture right now. It's all kind of based on once being a cube, which is just not going to be accurate. If we had some kind of texture here that we really wanted to wrap around it a certain way, this still wouldn't work. But what we're going to do is have this like this and then hit U and then say project from view. And look what happens. It's like there's a photograph of this here on the left, and we can see it almost looks like color bars here. But what we're going to do is we're going to scale this down a lot, like just an absurd amount. All right. So that we can fit this, and I'll make sure I turn off proportional editing. We don't need that. So we can fit this here onto this brown part. There we go, like that. And now look what happens. This whole thing, if I turn on our, there we go. Yeah, see, it's brown. So that looks sick. Now what we can do is hit A for all and scale this on Y. So SY. And as I scale this up, it's going to use more of the bright part here and the dark part there. And look what happens. Oh, it has this kind of gradient to it. Oh my goodness. Like, that was no work. And this looks so much better. Oh my gosh. I always get so excited. I have a bunch of videos where I'm making this now, and I get excited on every video because it's exciting. It's cool. So yeah, there we go. That's really cool. And what we can do is we can either leave it like this and have these all the same color, or we could even select just these kind of vertical parts and make those darker or make the other ones darker. What we can do is go over here and hit L for linked, and we'll just mouse over any part on this vertical pillar and hit L for linked. And that's going to select all of the things that were in that original mesh. It still kind of remembers the parts of the meshes. And then we can take this, check this out. We can take this and then just hit GY and bring this down a little bit and just use some of the darker part of this texture like this. And look at this. Now that's going to be darker and these are going to be lighter. Isn't that cool? What a great way to make a fence. And so now you can take this and duplicate this in your game engine and, you know, get offensive. You know what I mean? Let's see what this looks like rendered out, shall we? Let's go over here to our outliner. And if you're using our startup file, you should have this render stuff collection. And if you go to the little funnel here and go to the computer screen and click that on, that'll turn on all of our render stuff. And let's just, man, this is like just about perfect. Look at that. That's just about perfect. That's great. I think I might take this and just bring this up a little bit. GZ, just so it's not clipping through the floor too much. Just barely. There we go. Let's look at it through our camera. This probably needs to be a little bit bigger. Let's just scale this up and then maybe rotate this on Z. Yeah. So we have a nice little fence. G, Shift Z. So we can slide this on the floor. Yeah. That's nice. That's nice. Something like that. Make sure this is still going through the floor decently. Okay. GZ. Put this right on the floor. Boop. Good. Great. Let's see what this looks like rendered. Oh, this is my favorite part. It's like the reveal. The reveal of the awesome render. Yes. See, that looks amazing. And that's going to look amazing in our game. It's so much fun. Hey, if you want to learn the very best ways to model in Blender so you can create anything you want, I have a beginner course called Blender 101, Intro to Modeling. There's a link in the description. I'll also put a little video clickery thing right here. And yeah, you can check that out. And that goes a lot more in depth than we do in these videos. But yeah, I hope that you had a lot of fun. Thank you so much for watching. I hope this helps you make some 3D goodness in Blender. See you later.